moment, and this is something that's only really been developing for 12 months, 2 years maybe, that instead of just having lending secured over your tangible assets on your balance sheet, your fixed assets, your plant machinery, your properties, and fixtures and fittings and so on, we're starting to see banks take charges over intangible assets. So intellectual property, lots of the technology companies, for example, but also systems, goodwill, quality of your staff, quality of your customer base, all sorts of other intangible assets as well. So if that's an area that you'd be interested in, then do speak to Gary and Ian afterwards about that, and they'll let you know how that's progressing. And the first step really is to get a valuation of your intangible assets, which we can do very cost effectively using some partners of ours. But the biggest real change I've seen over the last maybe 2 to 3 years has been the emergence of what's known as crowdfunders or peer-to-peer lenders. So what is crowdfunding? Well, there's about 25 in the UK. I was going to look up the figures before I came and I forgot, but I think there's something like 150 worldwide. And the reason I have to look them up is that every day, virtually, a new one is launching somewhere in the world. There's a lot more in the States than there are in the UK. But I think there's maybe 25 active funders in the UK. What is crowdfunding? Well, crowdfunding is where lots of players, quite often individuals, hence the peer-to-peer idea, but sometimes pension funds or family funds, private trusts, even local authorities we've seen, and universities, have all been risking a little bit of money each and all putting a bit into the pot. So it's like syndicating the loan across lots and lots of individual players. And that means that they as individual players can spread their own risk. So instead of financing 100% of any loan or investment, they might only be risking what equates to 1% or 2% or 5% of the whole facility for that business. So they can spread their own risk and build a portfolio much quicker. And often they're using auction sites online, auction sites similar to eBay, so they can set their own criteria and say what type of return they want for what level of risk. So a lot of it is completely automated. They're not sitting there all day on the computer looking at all these cases coming in. They've just quite often they've just set a standard risk profile that they're prepared to accept, and then they just let it run itself, and they say, you know, how much automatically then they'll lend or invest. This all in all means that this process is an awful lot quicker than a traditional bank lending process, and also, you know, traditional offline asset-based lending as well. Because literally within a few days, a few hours in some cases, or certainly within 2 to 3 weeks, the loan or the required investment, if it stacks up and if it's a good proposition, will be funded. So it's much, much quicker, and the money will be straight into the bank. It could be that you want equity at the very, very early stages of your business idea where you're trying to prove a concept, or it may be that this is for full-blown development finance where you're going to use it to make acquisitions and grow. So again, for very different purposes, but always, as in all equity fundraising, the same concept applies in that it has to be fast-growing. There has to be a real reason for that equity financing to get involved. So, which lender do you go to? I've thrown a few names into the hat tonight. What you've got to look at when you're deciding which of these crowdfunders. Firstly, what security can you offer? Is it an unsecured facility you're after? Or is it that you've got trade debtors and therefore you're more likely to look at a factoring type facility? Or do you have no security whatsoever and therefore it might be equity? You know, so you need to see what security you have. And you also need to consider how quickly you need the money. Because if you want it very quickly, then something like a funding circle loan can probably be done in 2 or 3 weeks. An equity investment is likely to take several months. And also, what stage of business development are you at? So some of the businesses, the crowdfunders, some of the crowdfunders require their businesses to have at least 3 years filed accounts, for example. So they've all got slightly different criteria. Now, all of this is a little bit annoying that they're all so different. And wouldn't it be great if there was an app that could tell you which funder is most suitable for your needs? Well, as of 5 o'clock tonight, there has been an app. What it does is You run through the details of your business, if you're established or in concept stage, and how much you need and what security you've got and various things, completely confidentially. No information about your name at that stage needed. And out of it will come a list at the end which crowdfunders fit your requirements. So when that's launched on the App Store, Jane and the team at CBHC will send you a link and you'll be able to download it on your iPhone or your Android. But it's here in development form tonight if you want to have a play with it.